We have Mr. Vishal Khurma, CEO of Woxsen University. Mr. Vishal, you have joined the education industry after moving out of your highly coveted corporate career. What are the key factors that keep you connected with the education sector?
Thanks, Rajesh, for having me at Collegedunia. It's absolutely a pleasure to be part of the Thoughtful Leaders series with Collegedunia. Uh, yeah, you're right. I think for a person like me, for a professional like me, I have spent almost like 20 years of my career in the corporate world, and now I am getting into the education space. So it's quite exciting, quite challenging. I always felt that education space is quite an exciting phase to be in. And honestly speaking, I think what keeps me going is basically the core values which I have learned during my 20 years of my career with various organizations like Dabur India, Coca-Cola, PepsiCo, and all. Uh, See, the first thing which pretty much applies, I think, to every sector, every industry, including the education space, is that you have to deliver value to your consumers, right? So in this case, also, what you can always imagine is when you're working for a brand, you always look at creating a value for the stakeholders, for the consumers, and everyone. In our case, in the education industry, your consumer is basically a student. A student is there who's looking for some of the top of the notch faculty members who can give them that kind of a value in terms of learning. And of course, that learning has to translate into something which makes it meaningful for him in terms of his next 30, 35 years of his career. So once the student is able to see that kind of a value, I think that's the kind of a brand what you have already created then. And that's what we are looking for as well. Second is about you know uh, creating a very trustworthy brand. I think what's important for every business, every organization, whether it's a consumer care business, whether it's a is the core sector, whether it's the automobile sector, whether it's anything else, consumers today would like to go back to that particular brand which is trustworthy. You talk about Tatas today. The Tatas are known to be the trustworthy brand, right? And nobody, I think, across the country would deny that fact. That undoubtedly, when you look at any brand, the first name which comes to your mind within India as an Indian conglomerate is only Tata's. So I think they have, over the years, over the last century, they have created that kind of a brand value, that kind of trust in the minds of the people, consumers, in whichever sector they are catering to, whether it is IT, whether it is automobile, whether it is into consumer care, and so on and so forth. So everywhere they have done that, and they have always been the leaders. So similarly, I think within the education space also, the clear thing is that one should be looking at creating a trustworthy brand. So tomorrow, your consumers, your stakeholders, who you are engaging with, be it your channel partners, be it your vendors, they always should look forward to engaging with the brand, to interact with the brand, which is much more standing for the trust. And that, I think, is something which you cannot create in 1 year or a couple of years. It's about your way of working. It is about the culture in the organization, in the institute, in the educational space. So that's primarily what exactly I think these two factors are. And I think from a education standpoint, I am always been very passionate about the education space right from my childhood. While I would definitely admit that I never thought that I would ever end up into education space, but it's definitely something which is very exciting, and I'm absolutely enjoying it, every bit of it.
Wonderful, sir. Wonderful. So, being the CEO at Woxsen University, what is your philosophy of leadership? How would you describe your leadership style?
Uh, See, Rajesh, I there is a very profound learning which I had during one of my earlier stints, uh, and so it goes like this. Great leaders are great followers. You know, so what happens is when you look at a concept of leadership, leadership is not about leading a team or managing the team and driving the team toward a certain task. Leadership is all about where you are able to empower the team, whether you are able to build the team in such a way that they find that trust not only in you as a leader, but also in the organization, right? And they should feel passionate about coming every day. There are no Monday morning blues for them. They are able to really see and look forward to, coming back to work, and give their best for the organization. That's what leadership is all about. And in that particular thing, if you ask me what my style of leadership is, I work basically on two particular parameters. That's a very conscious effort, I think, over the number of years I have tried to develop. One is about having more participative kind of a leadership, where you engage, you coach your employees, you allow them to make certain mistakes, you get them back onto the drawing board once again, ask them the right questions where you are able to coach them, to drive them to the right thinking, the insights, what are required for the business. So that's about one. But at the same time, I think as a leader of the organization, it is also critical for anyone to understand that there is something called a situational leadership also. So you have to work towards that also, because every time there would be certain situations which you will come across where you have to change your style of leadership given the situation. So that's largely what it is. But I think that the values of a leader has to remain the same, whichever situation it is. You have to stand close towards the organization first. The principle of organization first has to be there. There's no two ways and doubt about it. And second is that whatever you do, you have to do it for the business in the long-term interest of the organization, not for here and now. You can do shortcuts, one or two things for the business, which will give you good results maybe in an immediate basis. But if you don't really, work with the team, empower the team, and create the next level, which can take on bigger responsibilities, then the leadership will not be able to deliver the results in the right fashion on a sustainable basis. So profitable, sustainable growth is very critical, and that is not going to happen unless you put the organization first and then you empower your team to deliver the results in line with the vision of the organization.
Okay. Any insights into how Woxsen University could be more welcoming to the students from different races and different economic backgrounds?
Yeah, good question. So Rajesh, at Woxsen University, you will be amazed to know that we welcome all the diverse backgrounds, ethnicities, religion, culture, sexual diversity, all the kind of diversities what you can think of. We always welcome that at Woxsen University. And there is no two ways about it that the only agenda which we have in mind as a university is to give great value to our students when they join in any of the programs which are being offered by Woxsen University. Not only that, we also work towards giving an equal opportunity to everyone from any of the economic strata they belong to ensure that the meritorious students are not left out. The single motto which we work on is none of the meritorious students should be left out towards getting the quality education which Woxsen University delivers. So that's the biggest principle, the foundation principle or the bedrock of the entire philosophy towards this. Having said that, I think it's important that I should share with you that we have allocated every year 10 crore rupees worth of scholarship for the meritorious students, which I think not many of the universities across the country would have kept aside. So that's a big number, what you can definitely look at. And we constantly try to keep building on it so that we are the ones seen in the eyes of the student fraternity, that this university is there to help them, to support them with any kind of financial assistance as long as the student is meritorious and deserving.
Okay. So what do you think should be the university's top priority over the next 10 years?
Well, Rajesh, 10 years is pretty long time. But honestly speaking, today's businesses essentially are working on a 1 year, 3 year, and 5 year horizons. Okay. And that's how the corporates actually work. They have an operating plan for the 1 year and then 3 years and 5 years. So looking from a long-term horizon, I understand you're talking about a long-term horizon where Woxsen University is heading to. So I think let me try and address this in terms of the strategic priorities which we have kept for ourselves in line with the vision of the university. Our chairman, Mr. Praveen Kumar Pula, has always had a very bold vision of building a institution of excellence in higher education, which is where we are able to innovate, we are able to nurture and transform the conventional educational processes through application of knowledge and research and a very strong collaboration with the industry and fraternity. With that broader vision in mind, the four key pillars on which we are working towards in the long term for the university is one, going to be towards academic excellence. When it comes to academic excellence, we mean to say every student should look at Woxsen University towards the top notch, the pivotal in terms of giving that kind of a quality of education. Why? Because I think we have the best of the faculty across the country, and not only country, but also across the globe. So many of our programs, we have the faculty coming from best of the institutes from across the world, like Harvard, Babson's, Purdue, and Oxford, and so on. Second big pillar for us is towards applied learning. So yes, excellence is important, but then applied learning is also equally important. So in our pedagogy, what we have done consciously is that 60% of the focus is going to be towards the theory part of it, but the balance 40% is clearly going to be towards the applied learning. The applied learning is where you give the live simulations, you give group assignments, case studies, and so on, so that they get the practical knowledge and understanding of how the business works. That right mix is very, very important. Many of the colleges, many of the institutions work on one-off modules, one-off case studies being given. But I think our curriculum is far more balanced than anybody else in the country, where we have clearly demarcated that 40% will go towards applied learning. Third pillar for me is the global outlook. So that's a strategic priority for us, and that is pretty much reflecting in every action we take. We send our students of MBA and MBA, BA, IML to these Nanyang University, which is QS ranked number 11. And similarly, we have for XP students, which is for the working professionals, we send them to Mannheim University, Germany. Now, if you see, both these are top-ranked universities, number 11 and number 27 in the world, respectively. And what these universities stand for is clearly bringing that global perspective, which is much needed in today's student community. And that's what exactly I think the corporates are also looking at when it comes to the global perspective. So once the students go in this global immersion programs with these universities, not only they learn about the culture of the new country, but also the new business models, the various things which are happening there at part of that world, because the developed world is working in a very different way what India is working at. So you can obviously, as a student, pick up those learnings. You can lift and shift such kind of learnings into their business, domains when they get placed in any of their organizations. Not only that, it also opens up opportunities for student exchange. It also opens opportunities for the faculty exchange, research activities, joint research, the pedagogy, designing of the curriculum, and so on and so forth. So that global outlook is something which is very critical. And last but not the least, the fourth pillar is towards diversity and inclusion. I think we did talk about that in the previous point, where we are saying that we welcome all the students coming from the various quarters of the country, from different ethnicities, different backgrounds, economic strata, and all that. So I think it's an equal opportunity what we want to give as part of Woxsen University's motto, and we will constantly keep striving on that.
Great, great. So, what would you like people to know about Woxsen University that they may not know currently?
Yeah, so I think Woxsen University today uh, is coming towards some of the very niche sort of programs also. Uh, if you look at it, so far we had 7 programs. So we are a very young institute, young organization. Uh, we are just about 6 years old, but within 6 years old, I think the kind of uh, achievements and milestones which the university has been able to, which the institution has been able to garner, is something really outstanding. We are today the number 4 in the South region as per Business World when it comes to the business top school rankings. We are number 11 as per IRF on our business rankings. We're number 3 at the top design school across the country. So in every faculty, what we are doing, we are ensuring that we strive towards the best. And with the university coming in, we got the university status very recently. And we already have introduced one of the faculty, which is technology. We are offering now engineering courses. And we have launched 3 specializations in BTech. So the first one is the computer science and engineering. Second one is towards data science and artificial intelligence. And third one is towards automation and robotics. Now, if you look at it, all of these 3 are pretty much cutting edge sort of programs which we are giving. Not only in terms of, we could have also run the same kind of run-of-the-mill programs like mechanical, electrical, and so on and so forth. It would have been very much easier and possible. But we've thought that I think what is important is we should be known to the student fraternity for being forward-looking, for being a visionary, for being setting up something which is going to be good for the future. So if you look at data science, artificial intelligence, robotics, these are the kind of streams which are catching up really like fire. And today, if you see, not many of the institutions, I think, across the country would be offering robotics and automation. Not only that, we are doing a lip service to it by launching a program. We have actually last year set up state-of-the-art automation and robotics lab within the campus. So the idea is that we seeded that whole thing last year itself, and now we are trying to ensure that we are able to reap the benefits of those investments which we have done by offering those facilities and infrastructure to our students who can get and benefit that cutting edge programs which is on offer. So that's the first thing. I think we are supposed to be known as an institute and a university which is offering cutting edge programs for them for building their future and career. Second thing, I think what is critical is we want to be known as a very student-friendly university. When I say that, I mean to say in terms of diversity, where we welcome all the diversity from various quarters and economic strata. And also in terms of providing the financial assistance, because I just told you, not many people in the country today know that Woxsen University offers 10 crores worth of scholarships in a year. Which is an astounding number. Not many will be able to even understand this. Yeah. So that's the kind of, throw which is there in terms of our actions. And last but not the least, I would also like to stress upon that point that academic excellence and academic rigor or applied learning is the bedrock of everything. And in every program what we have designed, the curriculum we have designed, the program outline we have designed, the principle of that is there in every program what we are running in the university. So this quality of faculty, this academic rigor and excellence is always going to be there in everything what we do. So it's a kind of a DNA what we are trying to build as part of the university. Okay. So that's, I think, are the key things for us, which we are focusing on. And I think the student fraternity would really value that, because these are the things which are going to give them the output when it comes to getting job ready towards the end of their program and facing the corporate world and facing the corporate challenge once they're looking for an opportunity within the corporate world.
Okay. As we are on the thoughtful leader series, I would like to understand your perspective on the higher education is facing the challenges currently. What kind of challenges is higher education facing in India, especially if we have to talk about?
Look, on the higher education side, if you see, what today is happening is, I just give you an example of the PGDM or MBA courses.
Yeah.
You have 4,500 institutes across the country offering MBA and PGDM, right? Now these are all 4,500. You can well imagine you have 130 plus crore kind of a population, and obviously these are not sufficient enough, right? But the question is, these 4,500 institutes what are there who are offering these kind of colleges, and same is the case in the field of technology also. There are thousands of institutes and colleges which are offering BTech today, right? But the key question is, given the population is there, are we able to give the right quality of education when it comes to these many institutes? So if you really see the quality of education, I think there's far and few what you really you can count it probably on your fingers today in the country. So I think the top 50 is what really count when it comes to the business education. Similarly, top 20 or top 25 is what it counts when it comes to the technology side also. So virtually speaking, what is lacking today in the higher education space is that kind of a quality education. So that quality education, I think, as a focus is something which is probably today not there, is what my personal view is. And I firmly believe that that is exactly the reason why every year you have a brain drain happening, into the global institutes and the global universities across the world, where the students from India are, signing up for various programs with those foreign universities. Guess what? If you had those top ranked universities and the quality education available within India itself, why would the student go there? There's no reason anybody would go there. So it's the quality of education which is the key. And student fraternity is very intelligent. We must not think that they are fools. They understand very, very well that where the quality is something which they will be able to get. And the moment they see the quality, the value for the proposition and the money what they will be putting in comes into the picture. If the value proposition is there and you're giving them a good quality, even at a slightly, I think, higher priced segment, they are absolutely fine. They are willing to put in that kind of money, because at the end of the day, still you'd be saving almost 60% odd once you compare with any of the global universities abroad. So that's how I think it is critical. So from a I think higher education government prerogatives, if you see, I think the key should be that we are able to offer some of the niche courses. We should be able to understand how we would be able to deliver that value to the students. The government should also be willing to look at giving them a little bit of autonomy in terms of designing the new courses and coming with certain programs which are cutting edge. So that would really help the institutions. I think the last but not the least, what is also going to be critical, I think, for the students is where the students understand, and even the educational institutions across the country understand, that the handshake with the corporate world, the handshake with the industrial fraternity is going to be the key. You cannot keep running age-old curriculums which were there 20 years back also in today's context. Those have lost the relevance. They have simply lost the relevance. In today's corporate world, they are looking at something very different. So what is the knowledge skill set? What is the aptitude? What is the leadership skills which are going to be available from the students when they pass out from that university is something which is very critical. So if as a student you are able to get that and you are able to build in those inputs coming from the corporate world into your pedagogy, into your curriculum, into your design of the programs, I think that's where the right mix and balance is going to be, where you really see that the value to the consumer, the value to the student, you are able to deliver.
Okay. So we all have seen how COVID-19 has impacted the sectors and the economy in India. So I would like to understand, I'm actually curious to know what Woxsen University has done to make sure that it's up and running for ensuring the delivery for the existing students.
Yeah, so absolutely relevant question in today's context, Rajesh, because COVID has definitely put us in the forefront in terms of every industry, as a matter of fact, not only education space. And the big this thing is that the entire country could have never imagined, maybe about a year back, that the entire country like India, which is 130 crore population, will go into lockdown for good 60, 90 days. So obviously, I think from an education space point of view, also the time has been very, very tough. We have taken some of the very pertinent steps towards ensuring that we are able to brace ourselves up towards this challenge which is there in the interest of the health and safety of our students. We have taken multiple steps, not only for the existing students, but also for the new intake, which is going to happen in the year 2020. For the existing students, when the lockdown happened, we immediately, within a week's time, we ensured that the learning should not stop for our students. And with that foundation, with that kind of a bedrock, we went ahead with the online virtual classes for our existing batch of students across all the programs which we were running under all the 3 schools. So that's one which we did. Of course, we continued till the session came to an end. And of course, we are all poised that as we start and resume the school for the existing classes from 1st of August, we are all geared and braced up towards taking on the online classes once again as we start that. Having said that, we are also bracing ourselves towards the various directives which the government is pushing, protocols which they are pushing on a day-to-day basis. We're keeping a close tab on that. We are ensuring the required infrastructure is well ready before the classes physically start happening at the campus. We will have the required protocols in terms of the safety. We will ensure that the student community, where they're sitting in the classroom, whether they're sitting in the canteen, whether they're sitting at the restaurant, the basic social distancing norms are taken care. The disinfectants are there. The various other processes and protocols which are required for the safety of the students is taken care of in every aspect. We are further beefing up the entire hygiene standards, across the university. We have always been considered as a university which is very neat, clean, and hygienic. But at the same time, I think the COVID times have pushed us to even think beyond that, and we have taken extra steps and extra measures to ensure that the hygiene and safety is taken care not only at the hostel places but also at the places where they eat, where they sit, where they hang out, where they study, and all of that, in the laboratories, etc., etc. So that is what we are constantly doing. We are engaging with the parent community also on a regular basis, so that the confidence goes back to the parents that the students, when they come back, their wards, when they come back and join the campus, it is going to be absolutely safe. There is no need to worry about it. Every day, anyone who comes inside the gate of the university, there are checks and mechanisms, the temperature recording and everything happens. We ensure that the disinfectant is sprayed and their hand hygiene is taken care of and all of that. So all those basic measures are being taken care of, and we are very confident that we will be able to give a very healthy and safe environment for our students as the classes start from August onwards.
Okay, just there are so many corrective measures that you have taken in very short amount of time. That's in fact incredible. So I would like to understand what are some plans that you are having probably, or what you are designing for the Woxsen University in future.
So, as I said, we were having these three schools right now, which was into School of Business, Arts and Design, and Architecture. So, with the university coming in, we have launched School of Technology as well. And under that umbrella of Woxsen University, now we have launched 7 new programs this year. So, BBA is one of that program. And of course, while the whole structure is coming into place, BBA I think is going to be a big one in terms of numbers, in terms of the kind of value which the students want. BBA, if you see today in South region or especially in Telangana, if you see, we don't have many great institutes who are offering the BBA degrees. I'm talking more in terms of the quality, I'm talking more in terms of the output. Uh, Output in the sense that what you learned and versus what you deliver when you get a job. Yeah. So in that context. So if you really see, we are looking at 4 specializations as part of the BBA, and that is one of the key things. While I discussed about BTech earlier, one is the regular BBA, which we are going to be giving, which is a regular 4 streams which are there. I mean, finance, operations, HR, and marketing. Second one is e-com and digital marketing. That's a unique one. And then there is data science and artificial intelligence, which is there. And the last one is BBA in entrepreneurship development as honors degree, what we give. So if you see all of that, some of the very unique things which we have curated for the BBA program is that we have got 2 internships, first of all, as part of the BBA curriculum, so that you are able to give, and you dial back once again what I was talking about, the strategic priorities as applied learning. So applied learning also applies here, because you are giving that internships, 2 internships as part of the 3-year degree program, because it is going to be something very unique which nobody else in the country is doing today. None of the BBA programs across the country by any university you talk about is giving 2 internships. Because the practical knowledge, the practical project-based learning, the live simulations, what they will be able to go through in the real-time scenarios, in the real-life situations of business, is something which nobody else will be able to give. So that's something which is very unique for us. Second thing is, we have a very unique concept of building the new age entrepreneurs. That's what the philosophy of the entire institution is, to build those new age entrepreneurs. And I think towards that, we would be encouraging with our BBA Entrepreneurship Development Program, which is our honors degree, where we'll be encouraging all the students, across the BBA, not only entrepreneurship, to submit their business ideas, to come up with what they think is going to be a commercially viable solution to any real life problem. And we have various platforms which we have created as part of the Trade Tower, which is there as a concept which we run at Woxsen, where the entire faculty and ecosystem is going to be there to mentor them and nurture their ideas into marketable solutions. Not only that, they would be given the training towards, how to put across an investor pitch. This is a typical kind of a Shark Tank model which we have created, which is very interesting concept, where we will have about 5 set of investors sitting in front of them. And imagine a 18-year-old standing in front of those investors and making a investor pitch for their idea. And they will be able to take away, investments into their projects, and they will be able to sell the equity and all of that in their projects if it is marketable and viable. So we have done that kind of a homework to ensure that we are able to give that kind of an experience when we are launching this BBA program. So that's very unique. Not only that, university has set aside $2,000 US for two of the ideas which are going to be the promising ones which are selected, and we will be giving them that as part of the program, where they can make their own core group and team to develop those ideas and work on those ideas to make them marketable.
Okay. I mean, the Shark Tank one is absolutely interesting because we have been a huge fans of that, and we have seen almost all the episodes across. And even, in fact, that format is also replicated in India as well, in the Indian context as well.
Yes. Yeah.
And any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students?
Yeah, I think what I believe is students today, first of all, I think they're a very smart community. Okay, I really feel the entire Generation Z, what we call them today, are very different from what I used to be during my age, that point in time. They are much ahead of me and every one of us. So Generation Z is like, they are pretty much very, very savvy when it comes to technology. They are pretty much aware of what their career options are, what kind of streams they want to go ahead with. I remember 10 years back, 15 years back, there used to be only one or two or three streams which people used to think about as a career option. But imagine today's youth has become so I think they have that courage and they have that wisdom that they are able to foresee the kind of new career options which are coming their way. They're exploring that with much more confidence what it used to be 10 years back, 15 years back. So they are very intelligent, no doubt about that. And I think to them, what I only would like to tell them is that they should look at universities, they should look at curriculums which are going to be forward-looking. They should be looking at the universities which are going to give them the right kind of a value for the learning which they are looking for, the kind of money they would be spending. They should be looking at the places or educational institutions which are going to contribute towards their next 35 years of their career which they have. Because when you sign up for a particular program, the brand value of that particular university and institution is what you will carry to your chest for the next 35 years, right? And that's the kind of vintage what you would be carrying, and you will be the alumni of that particular institute, right? So if that is going to be there and you are looking at such kind of great institutions, then of course you should be doing your research much well. You should not be blindly working on the rankings which are available, right? So rankings are of course very holistic, and which is good. There are multiple parameters the rankings come with, and doesn't come out of one or two parameters. It is a composite of almost like 30, 40, 50 parameters. But I think the key, what the student is supposed to look at is this institute giving me a global outlook? That's the key, which probably is not reflecting in the rankings, which is important. You need to understand, is this university going to give me that kind of an immersion program and international exposure, what I need to get, which may not be reflecting in the rankings again. Is this institute or the university going to give me a curriculum or a curriculum design which is closely worked out with the industry veterans and professionals, right? Because tomorrow the curriculum has to be relevant enough that the industry is able to endorse it and say that yes, this is the kind of curriculum, this is the kind of talent I'm looking at who have studied these kind of programs, which may not be reflecting again in the rankings. So you need to know and you need to see and do your research well so that you are able to see that there is a sufficient interface which is there between the industry and academia towards designing of that particular curriculum and program and so on. So those are the things I think which are very critical. And apart from that, I think I don't need to mention that today's student community is pretty much confident and aware that how to find their ROI.
Absolutely. In fact, we have. But what most of the students don't realize is that ROI is something that you get even after 25 years of passing out from the B school.
That's
You've passed out from IIFT,
yeah.
and I'm sure you'll be getting the ROI even till date.
ROI actually as a concept is absolutely wrong and is flawed. So I think it's good you raised that point, because the right thing is, I think, the payback period, and how you get the return over the next 35 years. Because whatever you invested, the payback of that is going to come within the first 1 year itself, right? And the ROI is going to be there for the next 34 years of your life and your career. So that's the right way of looking at it. And I think the student community pretty much should be able to understand this.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Vishal, for joining us and sharing your valuable thoughts with our student community, the Thoughtful Leader series with Collegedunia. I'm sure it will definitely help a lot of students.
Thank you, Rajesh. It was absolutely a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.